Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to new deck profile for the CU Cup format. So this one is going to be Garbodor, of course. Now this is a very fun tool drop style deck. So typically tool drop decks rely on you having tool cards out in play, but Garbodor is a bit of an exception to that, I guess, because it's discarding tool cards from your hand, which can be better and worse at the same time, because to be honest, it can be a bit easier to put tool cards into play. But, 50 damage is a significantly bigger modifier than, say, 30 times, for example. So, some noticeable differences compared to other tool drop attackers. So, this Garbodor has the attack Chuck, which does 50 damage for every tool card you discard from your hand. So, you do have to play a lot of tool cards. But the other attack is also quite useful. Venomous Hit does 80 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Now, why I bring this up is because in a format like this, where there is actually a surprising amount of single prize Pokemon that are like relatively tanky, you don't want to have to discard 4 or 5 tool cards every single game to take all 6 prizes. It will get very difficult to do after a while. So what I've found is you need to find like other ways with Garbodor to take prizes that are not just using Chuck. So Venomous Hit is one of those ways. 80 damage plus poison just gets you a nice KO on an evolving Pokemon. But then you also have things like the Hops Cramorant to do 120 damage in the late game, which is basically the equivalent of discarding 3 tool cards anyway, so, quite nice. 120 damage off that. Also have Fan Rotom in here because originally this was supposed to be like a Curlier draw engine. Then I realized that Pidgeotto was just a bit more useful, really. Especially means you can have synergy with Fan Rotom. So again, another attacker, Assault Landing doing 70, and also sets up your Pidgeots, which is quite nice. So if you don't know what Pidgeotto does, basically just says once in your turn, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one of them into your hand, and put the other card on the bottom of your deck. So, very nice ability to have. Also got my probably favorite card in this format, actually, Tatsugiri, which allow you to look at the top 6 cards of your deck and take a support card. Just quite nice, and there's plenty of ways to get it out of the active spot as well. So you can basically just like bounce around with Tatsugiri. Quite nice pivot. And also because we only ever attack for 1 energy, or I guess 2 if we want to use Venomous Hit, then we play a lot of trainers in this list. I'm running a bunch of different ones. The main ones are, of course, though, the tool cards. I play 12 tool cards in this list. I don't actually play the Hops Choice Band, but I think if you wanted to add like more Hops Cramorant, you could add more Hops Choice Band. But I think these other tool cards are just quite useful. So, Bodybuilding Dumbbells increases your stage 1 HP by plus 40, quite nice. U-Turn Board can basically just return itself to your hand if it's discarded from play. Sadly, this doesn't count as coming from the hand. It has to actually already be in play and discarded, which is a shame. It would be nice to use Garbodor, discard like 4 U-turn boards and get them all back, but sadly it does not work like that. But still a very nice card, and it's good for like, well, I would say it's better than some of the other boards because like this one can just be recovered if your opponent uses something like a Field Blower, for example. So quite nice in those situations. Also got the Stadium Town Store, which allows you to search your deck for a tool card, which is quite nice. Also got Vengeful Punch, which, I've never had to really use this one, but it's still nice to have. And, we have to play a lot of tool cards anyway, so may as well get some useful ones in there. Also, if you don't want to use Town Store and you wanted a counter to Diplin, then, like, Swell is still very much a viable option in this deck. I bring this up a lot in this format, but, if you want, like, a better time against Diplin, then Chaotic Swell would be pretty good. But the thing is, like, Garbodor has weakness... Oh, wait. No, it doesn't. I was going to say Garbodor has weakness Grass, but no, it doesn't. It has weakness Fighting. Okay, so yeah, Garbodor could actually be a decent-ish counter to Diplin. Like, you don't have the worst matchup in the world. You only have to discard 2 tool cards to KO them. You have 120 HP, which is pretty stocky. Dumbbells would take you up to a 160, so not the worst time. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Wait, why is... Wait... Oh, I'm already playing one. Never mind. Okay, for some reason I thought I wasn't playing Chaotic Swell. Okay, my head is really screwed over today. Okay, but we are playing Chaotic Swell. Cool. So this will just basically discard the Festival Lead Stadium that they put into play to, like, get rid of your stadium. So quite a nice answer to that. But yeah, that's kind of it overall for trainers-wise. Just trying to be as consistent as possible, and hopefully the game I've got showcases, like, how this deck just really sets up and gets going really nicely. Also got 7 basic Dark Energy, well, 6 plus a double colorless. Like, you could just play Twin Energy if you don't have a double colorless, but it's basically the same card, like, there's literally no difference. But it's here to just provide 2 colorless, which won't help with the first attack, Chuck, but will let you use Venomous Hit once in a blue moon, and sometimes that's just quite useful. Like, again, mentioned earlier, just an easier way of taking prize cards. I am also using this Trubbish just to have 70 HP, which I quite like. also call for family. So yeah, it's nice to have call for family across the board. But yeah, this has been the Garbodor Chuck deck. Let me know what you think down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. So to be honest, I think for turn 1 that went pretty well. We were able to get 3 Trubbish benched as well as a Pidgey. Also got Tatsugiri in the active spot. Now, Tatsugiri does have a pivot option now, which is good because we might have to retreat and potentially attack with Garbodor next turn. But I think depending on what we draw, it might just be worth taking the slower approach and maybe like Incense for a Pidgeotto perhaps. So yeah, Poffin I don't think is super necessary. Will I attract customers first? Yeah, I think I will actually. Just because depending on what this gives us. Okay, I mean that's not terrible. We can still get all the Pokemon we want this turn. So I think I will Arven for an Incense and a Tool card. I could also just get Adventure Bag. That's not a bad option. But I think we probably just want the Pokemon, right? So yeah, I'll discard a... Actually, no. Makes it a bit easier to keep track of them if I do it this way. So I will Incense, and I will grab a Pidgeotto first, because I would like to see if I could get a Garbodor off the Pidgeotto. It is also worth mentioning that we seem to have prized a couple of Garbodors, which could get kind of annoying, to be honest. Could get kind of annoying depending on what my opponent does. I will Pidgeotto Airmail, sure, why not? Incense, Town Store. I mean, Town Store is pretty good, but I'll take the Incense. Then we can go ahead and get properly set up with this. I'll get me a Garbodor. And then I think we can probably just go ahead and get another Garbodor evolved up. Yeah, that's probably the best bet here. Although, having said that, I don't think they can KO us in a single hit. So I think I'm just going to get the next Pidgey going. I'm going to do that. Because this one has 160 HP, so it's not as if it's really easy to KO. So retreat Tatsugiri. Promote this guy. I'll discard a Dumbbells and a U-Turn Board, just in case my opponent decides to try and like ghost anything up. Yes, I will just chuck away. So it'd be nice if we get a good prize off this. Really just anything would be useful. Another Garbodor would be okay, I guess, but we have like double Pidgeot next turn. So we get a prize, which is nice. Only 5 more to go. Alright, what did we get? Hey, Town Store. Not bad. I'm assuming they play some sort of stadium. So what did he attach to Morpeko, actually? A rigid band. That's interesting. Not sure why you would want to do that, but maybe they meant to attach it to something else and then just misclicked or something. Okay. So what does this do again? I need to like learn what cards do in this game. What does this do? Oh, my opponent conceded. Okay. Cool beans.